They say crime doesn't pay, but for these drug kingpins, life as the world's biggest drug peddlers saw them acquire some of the most luxurious mansions money can buy. Sadly, they couldn't hold on to these properties for long. Join us as we take you through 15 abandoned mansions of drug kingpins. Number 15. Pablo Escobar's Casa Malca. Located along the pristine shores of Tulum, Mexico, the Casa Malca was part of a large network of assets and properties purchased by Pablo Escobar in the 80s. Escobar's criminal empire was at its peak, and the Casa Malca was one of many purchases that included fancy cars and numerous houses. One of the main reasons for Escobar purchasing the Casa Malca mansion was its location in the jungles of Tulum, a remote location in Mexico. The Casa Malca was also an indication of the wealth of Pablo Escobar. It was estimated that Escobar and the Medellin Cartel made $450 million weekly, and Escobar himself was estimated to be worth $25 billion. This level of wealth could be seen in Casa Malca. The property boasted 25 acres of land, which included a zoo, a beach, 42 rooms with furnishings worth over $1.5 million, and multiple swimming pools. The town it was located in, Tulum, was exclusively a haven for the wealthy and successful, including prominent politicians and successful drug kingpins such as Escobar. Unfortunately, Casa Malca was abandoned after the death of Escobar in 1993. The villa was rediscovered in 2003 and returned to its original owner before it was sold to New York-based art dealer Leo Malka in 2012. Malka, who dealt with contemporary works by the likes of Jean-Michel Basquiat and Cowes, went on to renovate the mansion into a 5-star hotel. The project was completed in 2015 and opened with 9 rooms. Since then, it has expanded into a 72-room resort with pools and has a lobby filled with paintings, sculptures, and furniture by some of the most revered contemporary artists and designers, displayed against its white walls and polished concrete floors. The art across the hotel is frequently rotated, so returning guests can enjoy different works. Number 14. Wallace Thrasher. Beginning in the 70s, Wallace Thrasher allegedly built an operation that flew tons of marijuana and cocaine into the western region of Virginia. Distributors then smuggled the drugs north to Chicago, Detroit, and other big cities. Thrasher was known to transport his illegal narcotics using private airplanes, which made him difficult to track. Thrasher's success as a drug dealer could be seen in his lifestyle choices. He and his wife Olga owned a 10-acre country estate in Florida. But the couple could not resist the peaceful mountain valley way of life and eventually settled in Little Creek Valley in Bland County. Though many of the local folks knew the true source of the Thrashers' massive income, they were treated as if they were local celebrities, and the air of speculation that swirled around them stayed as rumors. For 10 years, Thrasher stayed 2 steps ahead of the law until the night of October 17, 1984, when one of his pilots slammed an airplane full of marijuana into a mountainside. This crash caught the attention of local news and national authorities. Thrasher was listed as the person who paid the hangar and maintenance bills for the aircraft, and there was little doubt in anyone's mind that he owned it. Just several weeks later, as drug investigators were closing in on Thrasher, it was reported that he supposedly died in a fiery plane crash in Belize, and his body supposedly burned to ashes. While some people believed Thrasher faked his death, his wife did hold a funeral for him. The federal investigation of Thrasher, however, did lead to the largest drug bust in mid-Atlantic United States history in 1986, when more than $150 million in drugs and cash were seized by the Drug Enforcement Agency. The main goal of the raid was to capture Thrashed, but he escaped, allegedly leaving a photo of himself sitting on a pile of cash to taunt the agents looking for him. His mansion in Florida remains abandoned to this day, and Thrasher still hasn't been found. Number 13. Amado Carrillo Fuentes' La Fortaleza. The former Juarez cartel boss, known as the Lord of the Skies, built this $4.5 million home in Jardines del Pedregal, an exclusive neighborhood south of Mexico City. La Fortaleza, a 2-story residence, sits on more than 10,000 square feet of land and has an indoor pool, expansive gardens, and enough garage space for 30 cars. Inside, The enormous home boasts a bar with a wine cellar, 9 bedrooms, 6 jacuzzis, numerous closets and dressing rooms, a huge kitchen, a steam room, a library, and a life-size playhouse for children. La Fortaleza was seized in January 1995 from Carrillo, 2 years before his death, and the mansion became a white elephant, a prize nobody wanted. La Fortaleza was Carrillo's center of operations, but he soon had to abandon the mansion when his enemies and law enforcement agencies started to close in on him. While he owned properties all over Mexico, Carrillo couldn't stay in one place for too long as he was wanted by authorities in Argentina, Colombia, the United States, and Mexico. To escape all of these, Carrillo underwent multiple cosmetic surgeries to change his appearance. Unfortunately for Carrillo, he died during a botched cosmetic surgery in 1997. Years after his death, Carrillo's mansion was a headache for the Mexican government. They tried to give the house away in a lottery, but very few members of the public were interested. The property remained in the possession of the Institute to Return Stolen Goods to the People, a government agency created by Mexican President Andrés Manuel López Obrador to liquidate assets seized from criminal organizations and corrupt officials. In May 2020, it was auctioned unsuccessfully because the winner of the auction failed to pay for the house and left the mansion in the hands of the government. Number 12. The Pink Mansion. This grand house's exterior may be a pretty shade of pink, but it hides a sinister criminal past. The abandoned neo-Gothic mansion and hotel near Powys, Wales, appears to have been used by drug dealers since it was closed down and abandoned 25 years ago. This was discovered when urban explorers stumbled on it during a random tour of old mansions. Images taken by these explorers showed equipment that had been recently used to run a cannabis farm within the mansion. Power supplies and growing equipment could still be seen inside the mansion. One image shows beautiful stained glass windows that act as a reminder of the beauty and sophistication that was once associated with the building. But that sophistication was long gone. From 1750, the Pink Mansion was the home of Thomas and Hannah Jones, whose son, the landscape painter Thomas Jones, inherited in 1789. It was later inherited by wealthy heiress Clara Thomas before being auctioned off in 1952 and sold to 2 couples who converted the property into a hotel and pony trekking center, one of the first in Wales at the time. The hotel closed in 2008 and was then bought by a London businessman, but has remained abandoned thereafter. While evidence shows the property has since been used as a cannabis farm, there is no suggestion the owners were aware or in any way connected with criminal activity. Although this sounds rather suspicious, the authorities haven't opened any case against the businessman whose identity remains undisclosed. Number 11. Grow Op Mansion. The whereabouts of the King City Grow Op Mansion were kept a closely guarded secret in Canada until it was mentioned on social media that the property had been used as a marijuana grow operation. The abandoned mansion was posted to Ontario's abandoned places on March 2015, and the news of the mansion spread like wildfire across the country. Indoor cannabis growing operations, or grow ops, had become common in Ontario around the time the mansion was found, and this led to a lot of speculations about the legality of the operation and the ownership. The mansion was originally built in 1995 for British businessman George Fager. Fager owned a business named Canadian All-Terrain Vehicle Manufacturing, which sold parts for kit cars. The business was co-owned by George's son Robert Fager. It closed in 2004 due to improper conduct of business. In 2008, the home was purchased by the Green family. Research indicates that Jeff Green lived in the home with his 4 children, who ranged from 8 to 17 years of age. The family resided here for approximately 4 years. The home was then listed for sale with Martin Shaken Realty. Speculation is that the home was purchased by 2 real estate investors who in turn began using the property as a cannabis growing operation. This information may not be entirely accurate and possibly confused with another illegal grow op story. What is known is that a grow operation began operating in the home, which was reported to be legitimate originally. To this day, no one knows who was running the Grow Op Mansion in Ontario. The $1.7 million mansion was situated on 5 acres of land with an outdoor pool, patio, and tennis court. Inside the house was a designer kitchen, 6 bathrooms, a large recreation room, a sauna, a spiral staircase, a waterfall rock wall, and skylights. When word of the mansion inevitably spread on social media, people's imaginations ran wild. The majority of the public claimed this was an illegal grow-op house, while others claimed that it was owned by drug dealers. Number 10. Joaquin El Chapo de Guzman. According to Mexican locals, Joaquin El Chapo de Guzman was so rich, he had houses on all the beaches in the country. El Chapo was one of the most successful drug dealers in history and was a major player in the cocaine boom of the 90s. This period of success in the drug business funded El Chapo's lavish lifestyle. El Chapo was rich enough to have exotic big cats roaming his houses, take trips to Switzerland for anti-aging surgeries, go on gambling sprees in Macau, and own private jets. But one of El Chapo's most prized possessions was his $10 million mansion along the Pacific Coast resort city of Acapulco. Taking a look inside the homes of the biggest drug kingpins that boasted swimming pools, a tennis court, and a zoo with a little train that was used to ride around and see the lions, tigers, and panthers all housed in the mansion's zoo. According to Miguel Angel Martinez, a former Sinaloa cartel pilot, there was also a yacht docked there as well. The mansion was abandoned in 1993 following cracks within his Sinaloa cartel, as well as investigations from the American and Mexican authorities. He fled to Tonala, Jalisco, where he reportedly owned a ranch. The drug lord then fled to Mexico City and stayed at a hotel for about 10 days. He met with one of his associates in an unknown location and handed him $200 million to provide for his family in case of his absence. He gave that same amount to another of his employees to make sure the Sinaloa cartel ran its day-to-day activities smoothly in case he was gone for some time. The kingpin was captured in Guatemala in 1993, but escaped from prison in 2001. He was arrested again in 2014, only to escape from a maximum security penitentiary the next year via a 1.5-kilometer tunnel with an entrance in his cell shower. His mansion was raffled away in 2018 by the Mexican government. Number 9. Pablo Escobar's Hacienda Napoles. Another one of Pablo Escobar's extravagant properties, the Hacienda Napoles, located in Puerto Triunfo, Colombia, was the infamous estate owned by the former drug kingpin. Built with extravagance and luxury, it included a zoo, a bull ring, an airstrip, and a private lake. The estate became a symbol of Escobar's wealth and power in his home country during his reign as one of the world's most notorious drug traffickers. The estate was located halfway between Bogotá and Medellín on the main road and included a Spanish colonial house, a sculpture park, and a complete zoo that included many kinds of animals from different continents such as antelope, elephants, exotic birds, giraffes, hippopotamuses, ostriches, and ponies. After Escobar's death in 1993, Hacienda Napoles faced various legal battles and fell into disrepair. The Colombian government took control of the property and transformed it into a theme park, with some of the exotic animals relocated to sanctuaries. In recent years, Hacienda Napoles has attracted tourists interested in exploring its dark history and witnessing the remnants of Escobar's extravagant lifestyle, including the ruins of his former mansion and the iconic dinosaur sculptures that once adorned the property. Number 8. Rakesh Jyoti Saran. In 2005, after the arrest of Rakesh Saran, the United States Drug Enforcement Agency seized the drug dealer's Arlington mansion. The mansion, despite its checkered past, was listed at a whopping price of $3.7 million. The best part of the mansion wasn't any of its features, but its proximity to the Cowboys Stadium, which was an attractive feature for fans of American football. Saran and his crew took orders for prescription drugs online and then shipped them to people across the country, raking in an average profit of more than $50,000 a day. Saran pleaded guilty to 1 count of conspiracy to commit healthcare fraud, 2 counts of mail fraud, 1 count of conspiracy to distribute controlled substances, and other federal offenses. In December 2009, Saran was sentenced to serve 12 years in federal prison and ordered to pay $68 million in restitution for his involvement in the scheme. As part of his plea agreement, Saran forfeited the custom home, which was still under construction at the time. It was sold by the United States Marshals Service in May 2008 to Austin, Texas-based investors HS Panorama for $1.2 million. After acquiring the house, the buyer spent about 9 months fixing up the property. According to them, the house has been dormant for 2 years and needed some extra repairs. The 7-bedroom, 8-bathroom, and 4-half-bathroom home sits on 2.6 acres overlooking the Rush Creek Greenbelt and has now been restored to a livable condition. The home, which was designed by Arlington architect Don Wheaton, still had some amenities that could be traced to its former owner, such as a nursery adjacent to the master bedroom built because Saran's wife was expecting a baby. A 3-panel landscape mural in the master bedroom entryway was painted by an artist whom Saran flew in from Italy to do the job. The house also features an indoor pool, a home theater, and heated marble tile throughout. Number 7. Paul Yearsley. You would assume that a drug dealer would know better than to flaunt his wealth to the public. However, it doesn't seem like Paul Yearsley got that memo early enough. Paul Yearsley was eager to show off his Georgian-style mansion, complete with a state-of-the-art home cinema, huge swimming pool, sauna, gym, and a brand-new Range Rover sitting on the drive alongside a Bentley Continental. He got his wish when his £6 million mansion was featured in the center pages of a glossy lifestyle magazine. It was dubbed a dream home fit for a pop star. Unfortunately, someone in Britain's serious organized crime agency had a subscription to the magazine and got a little curious about how the unemployed Yearsley could afford such a lavish mansion. While Yearsley claimed to have made his fortune selling homes to Premier League footballers, in reality, Yearsley was a drug baron whose only legitimate income was a council disability pension, thought to amount to a few £100s a month. He had worked for Tameside Metropolitan Borough Council as a recreation supervisor at a swimming pool until 1993, when he was pensioned off at the age of 28 because of health issues. 16 years later, Yearsley had built up a multi-million-pound property portfolio, including 80 homes around Manchester, as well as a villa in the Costa del Sol. After building his stately mansion in the footballers' belt of Heaton in Bolton, which he named Knowsley Manor, the drug lord also developed another mansion in the grounds, which he sold for £2.2 million, and a third development of an £800,000 house was planned on the same site. But Yearsley couldn't resist the temptation to flaunt his wealth, and in August 2009, he and his wife Carol invited Lancashire Magazine, a local homes and lifestyle glossy publication, to see their 7-bedroom home. This led to Yearsley being jailed for 5 years and 4 months in 2011. Number 6. Petzao's Slum Mansion. In the heart of the most dangerous and poorest slums, the Complexo do Alemão in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, is where drug king Petzao had his secret luxury mansion. While everyone around him was living in a hot mess, the criminal's grand base was a triplex with a swimming pool on the roof, bathrooms with jacuzzi, a professional kitchen packed with top-of-the-line stainless steel appliances, and air conditioning and liquid crystal display televisions in every single room. The triplex also had a private disco club inside, where Petzao enjoyed jams from his favorite musician, Justin Bieber. His luxurious triplex was found by police and military forces while cleaning the area of drug traffickers and criminal gangs in preparation for the 2016 Summer Olympic Games. Before these operations, favelas like Complexo do Alemão were completely ruled by these crime gangs, and police forces were not allowed inside. It took them 3 hours to reach the mansion, which was situated on top of a hill from which the criminals had a vantage point of the whole town. Petzao destroyed walls in his residence to extract hidden drugs, money, and diverse weaponry before running away from the government invasion. However, the police were able to confiscate 6 tons of drugs and large quantities of weapons. Before we go on, here is our subscribers' pick for today. As we take a look inside the homes of the biggest drug kingpins, let us focus on Wallace Thrasher, the man who allegedly left a photo of himself sitting on his pile of cash for the authorities who raided his mansion. He was a very successful drug dealer who was so under the radar that as soon as he caught the attention of law enforcement, he allegedly faked his death. Considering that he allegedly faked his death to get away from the law, if you were to fake your death, how would you do it? Share your creative ideas with us in the comments section. Back to the video. Number 5. Amado Carrillo Fuentes. Considering how successful Fuentes was, it is only right that he appears twice on our list. The Lord of the Skies had another luxurious mansion that he abandoned as he tried to flee from the law. Carrillo built this mansion in 1992, and it was inspired by Scheherazade, the major female character in the Middle Eastern tales known as 1001 Nights. The stories, known in English as Arabian Nights, feature Aladdin's wonderful lamp and Ali Baba and the 40 Thieves. Carrillo's luxury home, which he dubbed Mil y Una Noches, which was Spanish for the tales he was a fan of, featured multiple rooms, each containing its dressing room made out of cedar. The mansion had several hot tubs with mirrors and silver finishes and a swimming pool, but it was also crisscrossed with secret tunnels underground, including the one that was discovered while it was being demolished. The passage is located close to the main entrance, with 7-foot-tall ceilings, and is 200 feet long in the shape of a square. After the death of Carrillo, the mansion was left unoccupied, and eventually drew the attention of drug addicts, who settled inside its massive walls. Over time, the fancy home fell into a deplorable condition and was covered with graffiti from top to bottom. The Mil y Una Noches mansion was eventually put up for sale in 2006 and was never purchased. In 2009, Sonora Governor Eduardo Boers ordered the mansion demolished. However, it was not until late September 2020 that construction workers were sent in to knock down Carrillo's palace. Number 4. Divas Leonel Rivera. The legendary leader of Honduras's Cachiros cartel confessed to participating in the murders of at least 78 people and started turning on his associates. Today, both Rivera and the man he helped bring down, former Honduran President Juan Orlando Hernandez, are under the custody of United States authorities, but his mansion, which housed exotic animals from tigers to hippos, is under the custody of the Honduran government. The mansion boasted 58 animal species, as well as a zip line, a mini train, and a go-kart track, with one functioning go-kart. The big cats live in metal cages and consume 11,000 pounds of chicken a month, which was a financial burden without Rivera's drug money to pay for it anymore. From the beginning, Rivera and his brother opened their playground to the public, which made it easier to convince foreign countries to sell their exotic animals to drug traffickers. But visiting was not exactly an educational experience. There are no tour guides, nor signs detailing the animals' origins, ages, or natural environments. Most of the animals haven't left their cages in years, since the government took over in 2013. Number 3. Pablo Escobar's Miami mansion. Escobar didn't just own properties in Mexico and his home country Colombia, he also had mansions in the United States, and his pink mansion in Miami, Florida, was to die for. While this mansion was luxurious, it also served as a stash house for cash. During its reconstruction in 2016, construction worker Miguel Mato found the safe hidden in the concrete foundation, in the last wall to be knocked down. The combination locked safe is 2 feet by 2 feet and weighs hundreds of pounds. At first, the new owner, Christian de Berduar, didn't believe Mato till he went down to see it for himself. At the time, Berduar, who founded Chicken Kitchen, and his wife, Jennifer Valapi, had already seen a floor safe on the property, but it was stolen by the men working for them. This time, they're not taking any chances. They had the latest safe strapped to a flatbed truck and towed to a secure location, where they cracked it open, but only disclosed its content to the authorities. The property was seized by the United States government in 1987, and in 1990, it was acquired by a private owner, Christian de Berduar. The mansion had 4 bedrooms, 6 bathrooms, a pool, and a garage. It sat vacant for years after it was heavily damaged by a fire. Number 2. Darren Odell Jones. A North Houston mansion that was seized from a former drug kingpin, Darren Odell Jones was auctioned by the United States Marshals in 2010. The public was invited to the sale of the 5-bedroom, 8,000-square-foot mansion, and birds starting from $491,000 were placed online before the date of the final auction, which was on the 30th of March 2010. Jones, the mansion's former owner, was currently serving an 11-year prison sentence for running a drug empire in Houston, Texas. Investigators said his drug operation supplied thousands of pounds of cocaine and had ties to Mexican drug cartels. Along with the home, officials said Jones agreed to forfeit a 2007 Mercedes S550, a 2006 Maserati, $1 million in drug proceeds, a 2007 Chevy Avalanche, a 2002 Saturn Vue, and a 2001 BMW X5. Number 1. Jose Gonzalo Rodriguez Gacha. The abandoned home of Jose Gonzalo Rodriguez Gacha, who was a high-ranking member of Pablo Escobar's Medellin cartel, is now the site for China's new embassy and is a huge statement of intent for its operations in Colombia and Latin America. At more than 5,000 square meters, the land reportedly cost $18 million, a small amount in the global economy, but a princely sum in the local market. But the site, which is now under siege from ivy and local graffiti artists, is better recognized for its entanglement with Colombia's dark and violent history. The mansion, which was known as Casa Gacha, was bought when the Medellin cartel supplied about 90% of the world's cocaine. Members of the cartel splashed out on properties in the most affluent areas of the country in a display of wealth in defiance of the nation's elite, who rejected them. But after unleashing indiscriminate terror across the nation, corrupting politics, and almost turning Colombia into a failed state, there was little members of the cartel could do to redeem their image. The Chinese, on the other hand, seem to have overlooked the history and cultural significance of the Casa Gacha, which is strange considering the Chinese are a fairly superstitious people. But for now, the Colombian government is hoping that the Chinese project would dispel the ghosts of the Medellin cartel. Thank you for watching this video. We will see you in the next one.